everybody? It's time for another quickie. That just sounded just so funny. Anyways,
so wrong.
So wrong.
But that was so good.
All right.
So good, but so bad.
So good, but so bad. Accountability Success Circle is number 42. It's a message I think we all need. We're about to go live in just a moment. 3 ways to practice self-compassion. If you're tuning in live in the comments, let us know where you are checking it out from. And I feel like this is a good break from everything that's going on in the news. So if you could just hit pause on that and jump over here, give you some really good tips to help you be compassionate with yourself, because let's admit, we all need this right now. So, are you ready, Apryl?
I'm ready.
All right. We are about to go down in 3, 2, 1, and...
I like this music.
Right?
Perfect setting in the mood for a little bit of a quickie.
Right?
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Go down with the quickie.
How are you guys?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yay. All right, everyone.
Who is sleep deprived? Do you see these bags under my eyes? Like, I am so tired of flipping through all the news channels to just watch them all talk and speculate about nothing, because we're all just in a waiting game. But I hope you guys are not doing things like emotionally eating 50,000 popsicles like that. I think I ate a whole box.
It's all good.
That's true. Because that's not what I've been doing. So, okay, so today, this is obviously me and Gary. This is our 40-second quickie. We get around, and we are talking about, or this is something that we do for our awesome community, the Accountability Success Circle, to give a little bit of a taste of what we do in our community and share it with the world. So this week we're talking about self-compassion. Our theme for November, because every month we have a different theme, is compassion. So we just wanted to explore some things on that note, especially because I think we just all need it right now. So we've got 3 different ways that you can practice, and this is the type of compassion that is focused inward toward yourself, right? We can have compassion for others, and maybe we'll talk about that later this month. But I think for this, we also need to take care of ourselves and have compassion for the times when we're not feeling our best. So here are 3 different ways that we can do that.
Yeah, let's get into it. The first one, this is a big one, and I'm just gonna throw it up. Acknowledge the inner critic. How many of you have had that voice in the back of your head that tells you you're not good enough, or you should have done it this way, or why are you eating another bag of chips, or why are you continuously refreshing Twitter when nothing has changed?
Why are you subjecting yourself to CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever your New York Times, CBS, NBC, whatever? Why?
Yes. And I get it. That voice, though you may think it means well, and you're, maybe you're disappointed with yourself for not following through on the things that you hope that you would have done. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to practice things.
Your candle 2 timer is done.
Ah!
Oh yeah, the timer's over. Awesome. Anywho, we have that voice, and we think that voice is trying to help us, like, oh, why are you such an idiot and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, would you say that to someone else? Would you, if someone is struggling, would you do that? And if you would, time out. Get the hell out. This is not the place for you. Because essentially, we wouldn't, right? You would never say that, but yet we say it to ourselves. And let me ask you this. How do you feel when that voice is there? Probably not good. But at the end of the day, and I'm speaking for my own personal thing. Like, I know this. We all, like, Apryl and I, we invest in personal development. Like, we're personal development junkies. We read all the books, we've done all the courses and stuff like that. I know what happens. I know that it's not a good thing, but it shows up sometimes. And so then you have a fight with yourself, and that doesn't make it any better. Gary, I know stop being so mean to yourself. And yeah, it's not a good thing. So what we're just saying, you just need to acknowledge that inner critic.
Yeah.
Say, hey, what's up? I see you. I hear you.
Yeah. It's funny because as you're doing this, I'm like realizing that I didn't close my doors to signal to my family that I was going to do a live stream. So, and they're going to be ending school like any second. So you might see them come walk past me. And I'm sitting here listening to him talk about, or to Gary talk about like this inner critic. And I'm like, oh gosh, why did I do that? I'm so not prepared for this. Oh, why have I been a lump on a log the whole last 3 days like this? I'm like sitting here, like literally beating myself up, and I'm not, I'm trying to have my calm face and acknowledge that it's there. But now I'm going to just tell you guys that my kids might walk behind me soon and I might have more disruptions, just like my alarm timer and all that. So understanding that, you could be critical of the shortcomings that you might believe that you have. But again, especially when there's a situation that is kind of slowing you down or not making you feel your best, that's when that inner critic can tend to really, really creep up. So having to, put it in its place and still try to push forward is super important. So that's number one.
That's
Shall I move on to number two?
Let's move on to number two.
Number two is the mantra, everything's going to be okay. I know that there are some cases where this mantra might not work, but at the same time, like in the grand scheme of things, everything is going to be okay. Unless it's the end of the world, I guess, right? But
yes.
What we're trying to say about this is that when we are really feeling down, there's a tendency to want to feel like the world is ending. And not to discredit how you feel, because you're obviously, very entitled to feel the way that you want to feel, but that can get you into a really stuck place. And to just kind of know and figure out the way to transition to being more compassionate with yourself and be that person to kind of like coddle and say everything's going to be okay, because there's, more likely there is always a positive spin that you can put on any situation. Not to speak to the way that I my political affiliation or whatnot, but my son just yesterday was saying, well, if Trump doesn't get elected, or if Trump does get reelected, well, at least there's going to be 4 more years of funny jokes about Trump. Like that was his positive comment about it. And, there are a lot of people out there that might not feel that, don't care about that stuff. But at the same time, there's always going to be like a shinier side of the coin that we have to try to look to so that we don't stay stuck in where we're at. And so use this as a way to remind yourself that there's, even if it sucks right now, everything's going to be okay. Gary, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's a topic in meditation and mindfulness. We call it impermanence, in that everything's always moving, and the thing that is bothering you right now is not going to be there forever. It may feel like it. Let's just be honest. When things are heavy, when things are rough, it feels like, oh my God, I'm in this hole. Am I ever going to get out? And the thing that always gives me solace is, so the meditation app that I love to use is called Headspace, and they have this analogy called the blue sky. And it's like if you are in a plane about to take off and there's a storm just like maybe there's a storm in your life right now. And you take out and take off, and on the ground floor, everything is dark and stormy, and it like just looks miserable. But what the planes do is like they go above the cloud, and when you look above the cloud, the blue sky is there, and it's a reminder that the blue sky is always there. And yes, there is something right here that is taking up your attention, but it's just a great reminder that those things pass, just like the weather. And
It too shall pass.
yes, and so you can't, just try to push it away, because that invites resistance. You have to acknowledge it is what it is, and something about like acknowledging, like, oh, I'm in a funk. It releases a lot of tension and allows you to just sit with it and move forward. So.
Yeah. And it also, just to reiterate, yes, everything's going to be okay. But if you need to have that pity party, give it to yourself, right? That is definitely a way of, be okay with not being okay for just a little bit. But I think there's also the piece of, give yourself that opportunity to grieve, and then, shift yourself to this idea where, eventually we can start like waiting for those clouds, or clouds to settle and go back to that blue sky. So
yes.
Awesome.
And if you need someone to talk to about it, refer to our previous quickie when we were talking about accountability partners, because if you have the right people in your corner and you can say, hey, look, I need to vent, they'll allow you to vent, and then when it's done, they'll help you wipe the tears off. They'll give you a donut or whatever you need, and then they'll say, all right, let's get back in there. You got this. So, number 3, because we're just flying through this quickie. The last one is do what's on your side of the street. So, April, how about you kick this one off?
Sure. This is something that my coach, Barb Wade, and I have, this is one of her wonderful words of wisdom, the little nuggets that I take and have embedded into my being. And one of the things that when you are, feeling overwhelmed with, some sort of emotional anxiety or anything, there is this feeling that, you have to control it and change it. And that in itself can cause its own additional stress, right? So a way to give yourself compassion in those times when you actually want to move forward, but don't want to fall into these pitfalls of creating more stress for yourself, which is, what we're trying to avoid in the first place, is to understand that there are things in life that you can control and there are things in life that you can't control. So doing things on your side of the street, you might see things that are happening, in your periphery that you can't touch, and you kind of have to accept those, right? Because you can't be all things to all people and be everywhere, right? Like, we're not God, or we're not this higher being. And so when you can say, okay, this is my side of the street, this is all the stuff that I'm taking care of, this is the stuff that I know that I can do, that's a perfect way, whether or not you're in a up or down mood. This is a great way to continually practice self-compassion, because you are doing the things that you can control and allowing yourself to release from the pressures of the things that you can't, right? So there are a lot of times when I see things in media and I'm like, I just want to change it. And, at some point, like, I probably will, but I also know that there are so many other things that are on my side of the street right now that I need to focus on. I need to focus on my own health. I need to focus on my family. And these are the things that I can control. And no matter what external powers or external energies are being pushed into our atmosphere, I know that I can give my family tools to navigate them. That's what I know that I can do. I can't just shut off the TV and pretend it's not there. I have to kind of be open to knowing that and acknowledging that they exist, just like those inner critics, right? But what I can control is to, equip people with the right support to get through it, because we can't necessarily make it disappear like magic. That's when Gary needs to bring out a magic trick. But that's all I have to say about doing what's on your side of the street. You have stuff to add, Gary?
Yes. Yeah, the big thing here is when you start to think of like controlling the things that you can't control or wanting to, I feel like the fear, the anxiety multiplies. And then maybe you beat yourself up even more because you're like, why can't I get him to do this? Why? And then you think that you have some power that you don't. But the reality is, like April says, you can only control your response to it. I followed the work of Byron Katie, and she has a process called the work, and it's all about inquiry, and it's very interesting. Like when this is not necessarily the space for this, but if you are dealing with that of like trying to control people, and I feel like, or wishing that you can control people, with all that's going on in the world between election and COVID and civil unrest, there's like a lot of things like, man, I wish this person, I wish I could change this person. And then you go through her process. You just look up Byron Katie, the work. She has like a judge your neighbor worksheet. And you go through all of it. And at the end of the day, it's all about, interesting. Well, I can't control them. I wish that they would be someone else. And at the end of the day, they're going to be who they are. But the suffering, it's coming for you wishing that you can control things. And Byron talks about 3 types of business. There's your business, there's someone else's business, and then she calls it God's business or reality's business. Again, we can't control the fact that we're in a global pandemic, but we're here. And so why this has to do with self-compassion is just giving yourself grace and allowing yourself to just be. You may not necessarily like it. And in the coaching world where I came from, there's a few things that I feel like are applicable here. We say the truth will set you free, but it may piss you off at first. This may be making you mad, the fact that you can't control everyone, but just acknowledging, you know what, they're going to be who they are. It is what it is. And then you can choose how you respond, whether you engage with them or not is up to you. And then the other thing, and this goes back to all of it, is that I have this belief that everyone is doing the best that they can with what they have, even if it is clearly obvious that they're not. And as a coach, we have to have that belief because, some of the people that we work with, maybe going through some stuff. And if I judge them like, man, come on, why don't you get your shit together? That's not allowing me to be the best coach. And yes, there is places where you need to nudge people, but you have to just realize that everyone's doing the best that they can. You have no idea what they're really dealing with. So those are our 3 tips. And this has been another quickie. And we got something coming up, right? April, should we tell them about
Yeah.
that?
So, first things first, as I mentioned earlier, we, at the Accountability Success Circle, we focus on little bite-sized personal growth, in manageable pieces, because we all have busy lives, and it's, we can try to do deep dives sometimes with a personal coach or something like that, but we should always aim to continually grow through experience and just living our lives. So a lot of times we spend the type of curriculum, the easy curriculum that we kind of go through are these weekly challenges that kind of push the envelope on these monthly themes, which this month is compassion. As an additional, to dive a little bit deeper, we have a monthly webinar, and our next webinar will be in 2 weeks, which is called, I am blanking on the title.
It's all good. Practicing compassion on your path to success.
Thank you, Gary.
Webinar 15.
Webinar 15. So it's going to be on November 18th. We have a special guest, and her name is
Sarah Shire from Compassionate. Super excited to allow you to meet her. She is amazing. She's doing awesome things with helping people have more self-compassion and spread compassion across the world. Awesome nonprofit, and the money that she raises through that nonprofit allows her to do compassion training all across the world. She's worked with the Dalai Lama's English translator.
Wow.
She was certified at Stanford. Like she's amazing, and she's excited to share her and her wisdom with all of you on November 18th.
And we will, the link will be down. Or I don't think you need to sign up, but you just need to come visit us at that link. It's an awesome. It's just a YouTube live stream that'll happen that day, and if you are interested in learning a little bit more about the ASC, we have a free month trial that you can check out. So just come check us out at accountabilitysuccesscircle.com. Just see what we're about. Feel some love from all the amazing people that are in the community, and we'll help you practice compassion for this month and some other things along the way down the road. So thank you so much for checking out our quickie. We'll be back maybe a couple weeks from now with some, getting prepared for the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday and some more compassion. So see you guys later.
All right, everyone. Bye. And cue the music.
Oh yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
Bye.